Live from WTOC, the Southeast News leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Thanks for joining us here on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Bankley. We start this afternoon with an alert for you because crews are currently on the scene of a gas leak in Chatham County. This is a picture from the Chatham County Fire Department we just received. They say that crews are on scene at the corner of Priest Landing Drive and Marsh Tower Lane. CCFD also says that Atlantic Gas Light is on scene trying to mitigate the hazard. Priest Landing Drive at Marsh Tower Lane is currently closed until crews are able to take care of this gas leak. So crews are asking residents to avoid the area if possible. We will let you all know once that has been cleared up. Turning now to the Crime Watch here on WTOC Plus, a Savannah-Chatham County Public School System employee accused of grooming a minor is now facing more serious charges months after his initial arrest. Take a look at your screen right now. Jawan Johnson was originally charged with grooming a minor by the Chatham County Police Department. However, he's now been indicted for exploitation of children and soliciting sodomy of a child under 18. According to the school system, Johnson taught 7th grade social studies at New Hampstead K-8 at the time of his arrest. The indictment says Johnson possessed material that depicted a minor engaged in sexually explicit conduct, solicited that minor for an act of sodomy for money, and used electronic communication to do so. It is unclear whether the minor involved was one of Johnson's students. Johnson is still in jail after having his bond denied. The school system says he's still technically employed, but is not currently getting paid. He is due back in court in February. Staying on the Crime Watch, Savannah police say a man was injured in a cutting yesterday evening during a fight between two unhoused men downtown. It happened near Abercorn and East Congress Streets around 5 p.m. yesterday. Police say the victim's injuries are not life-threatening, and they are still searching for the suspect. We have a WTOC update out of Effingham County. An Effingham County judge will decide whether the high-profile Crocker murder case will move to a different venue. Elwin Crocker Sr. is charged with the murder of his two teenage children, Mary and Elwin Jr., from back in 2018. Lawyers for Crocker were in court this week. The decision to change the venue for this case will be scheduled for a date before the trial after the court granted their motion for an evidentiary hearing. Kim Wright, the child's step-grandmother, and Roy Prater, her boyfriend, have their depositions set for February 2nd. Both have already pleaded guilty for their roles in those murders. In state news this morning was a big one for Governor Brian Kemp as he gave his final State of the State address. We had it right here live on WTOC Plus just about an hour ago. Governor Kemp highlighted his accomplishments since taking office back in 2019. The governor says he's always put a strong focus on the economy and jobs for people he calls hardworking Georgians. Here's part of what the governor said during that address.
As we begin a new year, there are many reasons to be optimistic about the future of our state and its people. State taxes on hardworking Georgians are low and going lower. Our rainy day fund is at a record high. Our schools are fully funded. Our infrastructure is receiving historic investments, and our state law enforcement and educators are paid more today than they were 7 years ago.
Now, Governor Kemp vowed to invest in state roads and highways in the year ahead. Coming up during the news at 4 and 5 on WTOC, I'll have some more from his budgetary proposals. And then our State House reporter, Abby Kasors, who was at the Capitol during that speech, will have a full roundup and reactions coming up tonight at 6 and 7 on WTOC. Well, staying in the State House, a new bill could force Georgia HOA boards to get training before they can fine homeowners or threaten foreclosure. It's one of 4 Senate bills targeting HOA abuses to stop families from losing their homes. All issues are detailed with Anastasia Almos with our sister station, who has an investigation into this topic. Take a look.
Georgia Senator Rashawn Kemp's bill would require HOA boards to get training on how to properly run their community association, such as the notices they should give for violations and how much those fines should be, and so on. Our investigations found that homeowners are facing thousands of dollars in fines, some threatened with liens and foreclosure for minor violations. Senate Bill 393 amends the Georgia Property Owners Association Act, also known as the POA Act, to require the training. The Secretary of State's office would run the training, and Senator Kemp wants to use state surplus funds to pay for it.
Training to be standard across the state to ensure that people that sign up for these roles at least go in with a base level of understanding of what it takes and the parameters in which they are to serve, and hopefully to alleviate some of these problems that we're seeing right now.
That Georgia's POA Act is optional. The laws only apply to HOAs that opt into the act, either at the time that the HOA is created or by a community vote. We found that even if an HOA is part of this act, there was still no office that oversees that they follow the rules. The bill is now assigned to the Senate Public Safety Committee, and changes are possible. We are waiting for more action on the other HOA bills that would apply to all HOAs. 3 of them introduced last session and still in committees. I'm Anastasia Olmos. Atlanta News First investigates.
Well, if it feels like you're paying more at the grocery store, you're certainly not alone. Plus, there's a bill that could impact what you can and cannot buy with SNAP benefits. This week's Consumer Price Index report found inflation only rose 0.3% last month. However, the bad news here is that categories that impact your monthly budget, like food, housing, and energy costs, did all go up. Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture recently found that the average family of 4 spent close to $1,000 on groceries in November. That's a few $100s more per month than we spent during the pandemic. The price of beef is up almost 16.5% over the last year. Coffee's up almost 20%. The price of lettuce is up more than 7%. And frozen fish is up 8%.
A lot of people are feeling a lot more pressure shopping for their families. Couponing can absolutely make a difference. And how much exactly you're going to save is going to depend on what you need.
If you're hoping to save on your next shopping trip, a lot of stores put coupons directly on their apps now. You can also sign up for loyalty programs to score weekly specials. And if you're buying in bulk, consider memberships to places like Costco or Sam's Club. And when you go to the store, make sure you stick to your list. And if you rely on SNAP to make ends meet, new legislation in Georgia could change what you can and cannot buy. The bill would limit certain unhealthy foods and drinks, such as candy, sugary drinks, desserts, and energy drinks.
I'm more concerned about people eating, period. And it's not that hard to just get off your high horse and say, our kids eating, because that's what I care about.
The bill would also require SNAP recipients to recertify their eligibility every year during their birthday month, starting in 2027. That's a bill we will continue to track right here at WTOC. All right, this was a very big talk yesterday. Verizon says its networks are up and running again after a day-long disruption. The company posted on its website that as of 10:15 last night, the widespread outage that prevented people from making calls and sending texts has been resolved. Verizon says if you're still having a problem, you should restart your device to reconnect to its network. However, they didn't say exactly what caused the outage. In the statement, it apologized to customers and says that for those impacted, they'll provide account credits and that details will be shared directly with customers about that. Turning now to health news, health experts say we likely haven't reached the peak of the respiratory virus season quite yet, so it's important to know which virus you have so you can treat it properly. Mandy Gaither goes over the symptoms for each of the main winter viruses during today's Health Minute.
Across the U.S., respiratory illness is high. Seasonal flu remains elevated, as is RSV, with activity in many parts of the country and emergency room visits and hospitalizations increasing among children 0 to 4 years old. COVID-19 activity is currently low, but is increasing nationally.
Every year, there is a dance of respiratory viruses.
Dr. Frank Esper with Cleveland Clinic Children says all of these seasonal illnesses have similar symptoms. So when you're sick, it can be hard to know which you have. For flu, the two main types circulating are A and B. Flu A tends to be more severe with high fever, shakes, and chills, and more gastrointestinal issues, especially in children. He says adults usually have more of a cough. Symptoms for RSV include runny nose, congestion, decreased appetite, coughing, sneezing, fever, and wheezing.
It really causes problems if you have underlying lung disease, especially things like asthma or COPD, or are prone to have wheezing.
Symptoms for COVID-19 may include high fever, muscle aches, and stomach aches.
If it gets into your lungs, it can cause a really bad pneumonia.
If you're sick, Esper says it's important to be tested to know which virus you have because treating it early is key.
Viruses, once that ball gets rolling, it's very difficult to stop, even with an antiviral medicine.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, turning from human flu to bird flu, this afternoon a case of highly contagious bird flu is now confirmed in a commercial poultry flock right here in the state of Georgia. State agriculture officials say the disease was detected in Walker County. That's just about 2 hours northwest of Atlanta. The Georgia Department of Agriculture is working around the clock to prevent any further spread. The affected area houses more than 71,000 birds, and they are being quarantined. In national news now, a NASA crew returned to Earth overnight, weeks ahead of schedule, after one of the astronauts experienced medical complications while in space. The 4 crew members on board were recovered safely. For NASA, it's the first time a medical incident has ever cut short a mission on the International Space Station. Mark Strassman has more on the efforts to bring them home.
You're getting your first views of re-entry.
In the pre-dawn hours off the California coast, the returning capsule streaked toward a splashdown. All in all, a routine end to an unprecedented mission cut short.
SpaceX Dragon, it's so good to be home.
And then from that capsule, looking like a charred marshmallow, the crew of 4 was removed one by one onto the deck of a SpaceX recovery ship. One of them is dealing with an unknown but concerning medical issue.
It was a serious situation. The astronaut in question is fine right now, good spirits.
Undocking confirmed.
Last evening at 5:20 Eastern Time, the crew undocked from the ISS for its nearly 11-hour trip back to Earth. Their mission cut short last week when the ISS crew surprised everyone by calling for help.
Do we have like a crew session?
Yes, we'll get that worked.
What's unclear, what the medical problem involves, or which astronaut needs care back on Earth. Retired astronaut Leroy Chow.
Although we're very well medically screened and examined before flight, some kind of a medical issue can crop up.
What is clear, staying in space posed someone real risk. Astronauts get basic medical training before they launch. At least one medical officer is always aboard the ISS. But this moment proves all that training and onboard medical kit has limits. Commander Mike Fink spoke for all the returning astronauts earlier this week.
I wish it were longer, but we have what we have, and it was a lot of fun.
Great to have the crew back on Earth safely. In a break with splashdown protocol, they headed straight for a San Diego hospital for overnight observation. NASA has strict privacy rules, which is why everything about this medical issue is such a mystery. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
All right, well, looking ahead, golf fans get ready because tickets are now on sale for the 9th annual Club Car Championship at the Landings Golf and Athletic Club in Savannah. The golf tournament is open from Thursday, March 26th to Sunday, March 29th. Ticket prices for the Corn Ferry Tour event start at $10. Kids 17 and under do get in for free, though, with a ticketed adult. The 80s music tribute band Electric Avenue will be headlining the 4th annual Saturday night concert after the 3rd round, bringing the 80s MTV experience. So a lot of fun right there that you won't want to miss. For more information on how to get tickets, you can check out our web story at WTOC.com. All right, and with that, we're going to wrap things up this afternoon for the news on WTOC. We enjoy y'all and appreciate y'all spending part of your afternoon with us. We'll be back in just about 15 minutes for the First Alert Weather Show with Dave Turley. Really bracing for some cold temperatures and some potential rain, I believe, over the next couple of days. So Dave will have the latest on that in his extended forecast at 1:30. And then we'll be back for another round of stories at 2 o'clock, so you won't want to miss that. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.